Hey, and welcome to Getting Down with the Pickleball with your host, Dr. Don, the killer pickler and sex therapist, and me, Tony, the sidekick who asks the questions, gets the news and all the updates, and all the pickleball antics you can handle. And now, it's Dr. Don.
Hi, y'all. This is Dr. Don, getting down with the pickleball. And today we are going to have a super fun show with some antics, some stories, some interesting stuff in the news, along with my co-host, Tony. And today we're going to start with my first volley. And that is a pickleholic. Now, I have talked about pickleholicism on other shows, but today I'm going to get a little more into it and how I would qualify myself as a pickleholic. So a true pickleholic doesn't even notice how sore they are when they're playing on the court. And that's because, the adrenaline's rushing and you're just having a good time and you're out there and you don't really notice that something might be hurting. But obviously, when you stop, or you try to go to sleep at night, then you notice that you're really sore and you probably shouldn't have played that day.
Wow.
Well, I qualify as that person. And the other day, I go out on the court and my shoulder was already hurting. And I had taken a day off, but I thought, oh yeah, I'm going to get back out on there. I'm going to play with my friends and have a great time. And I'm out there and I'm doing a pretty good job at first. And then probably halfway into it, about a half hour in, I really start sucking. Like I am not playing well at all. I'm starting to feel a little bit of the pain. And that's when I realized that, of course, I pushed it again. But it's not just me who's a pickleholic out there. I see so many people that have, bandages on their arms and their knees. And now some of them probably had injuries beforehand. And a few of them are tennis players have come over to the pickleball world because tennis is a little more hard on your joints and your rotator cuff, but still you can sustain injuries with pickleball too.
Ouch!
It just depends, how much you stretch. And stretching is really recommended. I don't do it all the time. I try to stretch before and after, but that certainly does help the true pickleholics so that they can get out on the court almost every day and continue playing. But as I said, it is a sport where you do have people show up with injuries and they continue to play. Some play through it, some don't. But I notice with myself that I really have to stop pushing it because what's going to happen with me is I'm going to end up not being able to play for a while if I don't step back. And I'm sure many of you out there who play pickleball or any sport that you feel like you're addicted to, you can sustain injuries. And a piece of advice is back off a little bit and take care of yourself. In fact, Tony has said this to me many times. He's like, looks like you're pushing yourself too hard again. And I'm like, nah, I'm fine. I'm good. And then the next day, when I don't sleep at night and I'm kind of grumpy and miserable to work with, I'm like, you're right. Didn't sleep because my shoulder's hurting again. And for my second volley,
Current events and hot topics of the day.
Speaking about aholics, like pickleholics, let's talk about maskaholics. Yes, those people that you still see walking around with masks on.
What the fuck?
I don't know. I have seen them in cars, jogging by themselves, riding a bicycle. And the latest one, because I'm near water, I saw someone in a little canoe on the channel in Channel Islands with a mask on by themselves, just rowing away, getting all that great exercise. But I'm thinking that there is a bit of a disorder here. I understand that this was brought on by the media, just pushing fear out there, and people were watching the television without actually doing research. But if we went back in history just a little bit, we can see that masks were used with the Spanish flu when that broke out in 1918, and how that actually created more problems for people that were wearing it. People were dying of lung infections due to the mask. So if we just were to go back a little bit in history, or they even taught that in school anymore, I think most people would probably not have been wearing a mask, or at least stood up and said, hey, we've already been through this. It's not working. And one of the problems that's now happening, and a couple of articles just came out on this, is that people are going to the dentist's office and they're finding that they're having more gum disease, they're having root canals, they're having cavities. And this is all due to what's gone on in the mouth. It's like unhealthy germs and bacteria that can't get out when you're wearing a mask. It just sits in there and stays in there and brews in there. So lots of people are really having quite a bit of dental problems. In fact, I know a couple people who for their jobs had to or mandated to wear these masks, and they ended up having a couple of root canals.
Ow.
I think it's just awful that this mandate was put in place. I mean, how crazy is that? We're mandated to put something over our nose and our mouth, and we can't breathe fresh air. We have to walk around like that. But again, to think that people are still out there wearing a mask when the intention of the mask in the first place, well, although it didn't work because the actual virus particles are smaller than the fibers in the mask. But the idea was that you were supposed to wear that so that you weren't, spitting up or coughing when you were actively sick on another person. So the idea that you still see people who are solo walking around with a mask on, it's like, what are you thinking? I mean, you're obviously not thinking. And I guess the point is they're getting a lack of oxygen to the brain. The longer they put that mask on or the more they keep that mask on, I think that they're going to lose a lot more brain cells and common sense. Wow! Now I'm going to wrap it up with a little tidbit from the pickleball world for our Pickleholic.
It's time for Pickleball News.
So in Colorado, there are many Pickleholics out there who really are into the sport. And they are going to open up their second pickleball playground. It's a building. It's a 70,000 square foot area with about 15 pickleball courts, as well as food and beverages. And I'm going to read you an article here that I found. In Denver, because there are so many pickleholics, they will soon have a new place to play. Punch Bowl social founder Robert Thompson plans to open his latest venture, Camp Pickleball, in Globersville Fox Park development in 2025. Camp Pickle will include as many as 15 pickleball courts for fans of the sports to play on, as well as food, beverages, and other entertainment options for guests. I know I will be out there. I cannot wait to go. It'll really be fun. And I might even try to get Tony to join me. We'll see. And that was my big pickle of the day.
Big Pickle of the Day.
We'll be back in a moment with more fun stories, antics, and my co-host Tony right after this.
Hey, and welcome back to Getting Down with the Pickleball. Dr. Don, I'm Tony. And Doctor, aholics, a pickleholic. Crazy, I guess, thing to be. But I would say, all right, I'll buy it. It's a sport. I don't know footballaholics or basketballaholics, or I've never come across any of those, but I'm sure I would just call them, gamblers, betting, addiction people. However, pickaholics, and you believe you to be one, correct?
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to get over my pickleholism.
Pickleholism. There we go.
I don't even know if that's a word, but
it doesn't have to be. In this crazy pickleball world, the terms and the stuff, nothing matters. It's all a free form. I've seen you where you complain about when you changed your grip is when I noticed that's when you got the pain. That's when you started to be super sore only in the one area, and I think it started at your wrist and elbow and arm, went up to maybe your neck area and back behind your shoulder blade. And then I did tell you, I said, I've done injury. It takes forever to heal. And if you keep going, it'll never have a chance to heal. You'll just keep injuring it. You thought you were letting up. And has it turned out to be true?
Yep.
Oh, fantastic banter. Yep. But why do I ask these things and get all excited about your pickaholicanism? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the rainiest days. And I don't know if you live in California or not, but we're having bizarre weather. We've just been rained out so much that I'm thinking her injury's got to be healing, not because of her, because there's no opportunity to go play, which is a blessing in disguise.
Yes, I'm forced to not play. It's terrible. I'm pacing the halls. I'm doing, all kinds of yoga stuff in my room, just trying to get myself energized or not to go crazy because I'm not working out and not having that adrenaline rush and that fun of the pickleball.
Well, I think that's where it really is. It's the fun of it. It's the social side. I get the exercise about, but again, playing, and I've played people, I'm telling you, moving 3-4 inches each side, not a lot of effort there. So,
oh, okay.
I don't see you running down a lot of, 40 feet, lobs, or you're not playing all the way in the back of the line. The Pickleballholic to me is, I thought, it's a lifestyle. It's all about that, which I kind of see in you. So is that more of a better definition?
Yeah, probably, because I'll forego doing other things if I can go and play pickleball. And not to say that I'm that bad of a pickleholic. I mean, obviously, if my kids want to do something, I'll suggest, hey, why don't we do pickleball together?
Right. So not a pickaholic, a pickleballaholic with anyone who will pickleball with you at any time. Oh, come on, man. It's cold, it's raining. She did. She took me out to a court one day, cold, raining, far, far away from where she lives. And wow.
Yeah, I finally got you on the court. It was great.
But that point was, you'll do it even then. Yes. Even in the worst way. The court was wet. There was puddles everywhere. But we got through it. It was fun.
I do have to say something and retract on something about this sport being really, it has nothing to do with the gender or kind of the size of the person. Okay, I'm wrong. I mean, playing pickleball, or at least practicing pickleball with Tony, who happens to be 6'4" and his wingspan is triple the size of me. We were just playing, him and I was running all over the court. And I'm the one who knows how to play pickleball. So I just wanted to say that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I was playing more of my old tennis style, hit them where they aim, move them around the court, make sure they can't return it and get it to a spot. Sometimes, though, she would whip it at me, right at me. It was fun. The closer it seemed we got to the net, the better you played. When you were deeper, it was hard for you to get to a spot and then to come up and run, right?
Yeah.
Because I would dink one over because I see you playing the baseline. I'm just going to try to get it over the net.
No, more like over my head.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that was because I was asked her straight up, is it okay if we, I can do a regular serve overhand. I don't have to do these underhand or bounce it and hit. She's like, no, you can serve it any way you want. And so that's when I was whipping it and throwing a lot of spin on it, doing stuff that you would see a tennis player doing, because that's kind of what I was basing it on. But we did have a good time. But back to where I was, because it was raining, because it's been terrible weather, you haven't been able to get out. A lot of people haven't. And you're healing, which I think you'll see that your arm or your wrist, and your shoulder, it won't hurt as much, but it won't be where it is today, like the pain. Because when you complain, when you wake up in the morning, say when you get going, you couldn't sleep all night because of
the pain.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can't lay on it that way. You can't, you try to avoid that. So that becomes terrible sleep, interrupted sleep, probably at our age anyway. We don't get great sleep. So compound that with what you're doing and it sucks, people.
Yeah, it sucks being around me because I'm grumpy. Well, it's not that. I'm not actually that grumpy. I'm more ditzy. I don't know. When I don't get sleep,
I like your Dawn-isms. I like those things.
Oh, yeah, you say they're cute, but I wonder if you really mean it. Kind of like, when someone says something and it means something else, but they continue to say it. Mm-hmm. Like there was a show where somebody said something about, I don't know, from Georgia, I like that, which meant F you, or in some terms. So I always wonder if there's a double meaning behind it. Tony, is there?
I don't know. You're like, no. The physician on the court. I said, what? The way I set up, the way that I'm all positioned on the court. I'm like, physician on the court? What's a physician?
Say that.
You did. You just don't hear you saying what you think you say. It's like
a
lot of women have that problem. It's like everything in their head has to come out. And sometimes mouth is not caught up to actual word in brain. And it just kind of slips.
Oh, women? Really? Is this becoming a sexist thing here, Tony?
No sexist at all.
Sexism?
I think we've all realized as many years as we've lived on the planet, women love to yap. Women speak a lot. They have a lot on their mind. So everything in their brain needs to be emptied out in all type of conversation. You'll start talking about pickleball, and then it snowballs into somehow these great purses on sale, and I only can get the Gucci and in the Forum in Vegas. I'm like, wow, Pickleballholic to those type of things. So, you guys always run the gamut. Guys are pretty straightforward, like beer. Yeah, beer. No, some more. Beer.
Or football.
Football.
Beer.
Yeah, cool. Football and beer. More.
Women. Beer. Football.
Whoa, chicks. Thank you. So being a pickaholic that you think you might be, are you like more attracted to or more friendly with or more engaged or in a clique with other pickaholics at your place?
Yeah, because as pickaholics go, we seem to see each other quite a bit. So we become friends with those that we play pickleball with a lot. And then we do other things. And when we go out, we continue to talk about pickleball, although we add in other subjects. The game comes about or stuff on the court. It's fun. It's really a lot of fun to share that sport in common with other people. A funny time is I think I went to a bar one time. I don't even know how I got started, but we started talking about pickleball. And then the person next to me is like, oh, yeah, I play pickleball. And then there were other people there that played pickleball. I was like, okay, this sport really is taking off all over the place. And one last thing, with all this rain and everything in California, getting back to how they're building this amazing pickleball camp in Colorado, we don't have a lot of indoor courts in California, whereas in other states where it rains quite a bit, they have the indoor pickleball court. So, it's something I would love right now to have an indoor pickleball court.
Yeah, that would have been like $1 million idea. I mean, like we would have $1 million in our butt.
Yeah, let's do it. Come on, let's do it, Tony.
Sure. We'll go get Jamie Foxx's money and say, the idea you had, you're out. We're going to take it over. So, okay. Well, we're going to have to take a little short break here, but I wanted to get back into some of the things that Dr. Donner brought up earlier in the monologue. Of course, we have terms. Again, my favorite part of the show. You can't make this stuff up. It's too true. So give us about 30 seconds. We'll take a short break, and we'll be right back. And we're back here with Getting Down with the Pickleball and Dr. Don Michael. I'm Tony, and we've been kind of going through a few little fun things in between spots here. I'm kind of freaked on the maskaholic. I'm like you. This is like 3 years later, especially in California. It's like people outside, all alone, walking nowhere. No one else is around them with a mask on. So I've been doing the whole backwards thing. Like I'm in a bar, restaurant or someone walks in with a mask. I'm like, oh, thank you. Because you must have it. Because you don't want to give it to us now because you're the evil one somehow. But none of this is registering anymore. Not anyway, a lot out here, but it still happens. Why do you think that?
I think that people got seriously brainwashed by the mainstream media and fear. And it's really sad, but I think there's still some people living in fear, and somehow this mask has become their safe space, so to speak, on their face or their safety blanket, because it doesn't make any sense. There's no sense to it all. You're putting something on your face so that what? So that you don't get sick from other people?
Okay. No, I see that a lot. Let's say before, COVID hit and you'd see a, pretty not in good shape cancer patient guy, or woman. And like women, sometimes they would, they always put that little bonnet on or a bandana because they had lost their hair from the chemo, and they'd have a mask on because of the fear of their immune system so damaged and so down that was kind of the thought was, it wasn't uncommon to put that mask on. It wasn't uncommon for us to see somebody like that. But we knew mainly it was something of that nature. Now it's like, are they even thinking COVID anymore? What are they thinking? It could be flu. It could be anything. Is there another new thing happening in the world that we don't know? And that's why they're wearing a mask?
I don't know. Maybe some of it's virtue signaling, but I think at this point, when someone's in their car by themselves or literally, like I said, canoeing in the ocean by themselves with a mask on, I'm sorry. I think there's just something wrong there.
Well,
a disorder.
Do you remember, like, and it still happens, but do you remember way before any of this happened, you would see, and I'm not saying anything against anybody, people, but you'd see people with gloves on and a mask in their own car with the windows up for years, right? Especially in LA, it's like you see too many weird things driving. And we all have our, stereotypical, they don't get near the Asians, they can't drive. The Mexican guys, everyone has a thing, or women, or young kids.
That's all politically incorrect for you to say right now.
Yes, I know. And that's why we're on the show.
Yes, okay.
But that time, no one gave a hoot. It was just kind of accepted normal. Now everyone has an attitude about it. They see stuff happening in the sky, people that never thought about that, and they see a terrible weather going on. They're like, well, like we mentioned earlier, being in California, we haven't seen rain like this in eons, maybe
Ever.
40, 50 years, right?
Yeah, I've lived here my whole entire life, and I've never seen it rain like this in March.
Yeah, and continuous.
Continuous. I mean, when it rains in California, it does pour.
Right.
They've written songs about that. But this continual rain like this, especially after you see like all of this striping in the sky going on, they might call it
right,
seeding
that's what I was going to say.
Chemtrails.
Right, and
whatever.
My buddies that are like, you conspiracy guy, I'm like, no, I'm not thinking anything. I'm looking up in the sky. Why don't we both look up and say, why are all these planes just dropping stuff right into the little fun of the love clouds? And then the next couple of days, it's this, and it doesn't stop. And for the first time, because you know how people around here, especially in California, a lot of them are like, oh, I love the rain. We don't get enough.
Mm-hmm,
It's great when it does. Oh, it makes it so cozy, or it's different, and we need it, and it washes things away. All those people are now saying, okay, enough's enough. Yeah, I might have said I liked it, but I only liked it in the portion that we used to get it.
Well, that's because all the taxes that we pay, for the gas prices are supposed to prepare our roads, which have the most potholes in any state.
We do have the worst.
And
road.
now that we are having this flooding and downpouring, of course, California is not prepared for this whatsoever. Our streets and our highways they're not prepared for rain
So
like
I think
this.
it's all connected. I think it's all connected with how the people think the mask thing is still that. People think a lot of stuff up in the air, creating or manipulating weather is still there. Things that are just continuous, but no one's really putting stock into it. Or the people that never did are finally going, oh.
Yeah, like what's going on?
Yeah. And
Start
people
to
that
question things, maybe.
Yeah, and people that had questioned it before who were like the outcasts or the conspiracy people we mentioned.
Conspiracy theorists, yes.
Right. Are now like, oh, you were just regular Johnny saying something.
Right.
Like I would say now. Right. So you caught up. So I lapped you 5 times. You caught up. Thank you very much. Now we're on a good,
playing field. Back to the pickleball playing field.
Common sense. It's just common sense, people. I'm sorry we went off in 3 different directions, but it all came back to kind of the same things. So we're going to be right back here with Dr. Don. We haven't gotten to a lot of the sex therapy, but, coming up with the terms, I'm going to throw a little curveball here and there, maybe one knuckle. In the meantime, one loose knuckle ball there. Anyway, just stay tuned. We're going to be back shortly. That's what we're going to do. And back we are with Dr. Don and getting down with the pickleball. Again, I'm Tony. Thanks for tuning in, staying with us on this. It's gotten a little more heavier than maybe some previous episodes, but I guess that kind of goes with the territory. You start a show, it starts developing its own self, and the comfortableness and the easiness of it starts to come out a little more. Hope you're enjoying. But I'm digging this little thing, back to the pickleball world. Well, you're telling me, and I'm not sure the guy's name, but in Colorado, they're going to actually start building more venues, and I'm assuming it's indoor-outdoor. Yes?
It looks like it is, but check this out. This is so cool. I'm serious about going. I'm going to drag you with me, Tony. Oh, yeah, it is. So it's called Camp Pickle. Indoor-outdoor facilities are based on the concept of a 1940s era national park camping facilities and will feature fire pits, picnic areas, tent cabanas, along with 10 to 14 pickleball courts. And they're planning on opening about 10 of these by 226. And two of the spots mentioned are Colorado and Alabama.
Right. So I got the guy's premise. Was he in the entertainment industry?
It says a founder, a Punch Bowl social founder. So
okay, so there's some resource behind him, and he probably has others. And he's probably a pickleball guy, right? Or he probably has played, or he's a pickaholic.
Or he could just be a really smart investor.
Right. And he's going to try to make these like the old time when you would cruise through America and you could pull over in the little camping spots. And they'd have a lot of this, like they would in the Catskills, in upper New York. And they would give you opportunities for entertainment, the better food, interaction, a lot of community, things that have been bygone.
This would be great for families.
Years. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's what they used to do. They would take their families for 2 weeks. And I remember family members, they'd be gone for a couple of weeks, maybe even a month. And they come back, oh, we were at such and such and up in the Dells in Wisconsin. And, we stayed in this great cabin and we loved it. That's what he kind of sounds the premise.
Well, I really think it's great, and I love bringing back the family aspect to this, because when it was the holiday time, a lot of people were bringing their kids to the pickleball club to play, and these younger generations really into it. So think about getting a camper, and I used to do that when I was a kid. My dad had a huge Winnebago, and we would go traveling around the United States. But to have these campground set up throughout where you could bring your family and all of you could play together. I love that idea.
I love Winnebangers.
Oh my God.
Bangos. I'm Winnebagos. No, that's when we toured in a band, we had a Winnebago. You call it a Winnebanger.
No, you did. Because God knows what you were banging in your Winnebanger.
There's 4 or 5 guys on the road in your 20s.
Well, leave it up to guys to put their thingy wherever.
What? Put their pickleball somewhere?
Yeah. Especially, guys in bands, musicians.
Yeah. That was always fun.
The people that, I counseled. I mean, I can't even tell you how many different places they'd put their winky.
I don't know.
Well, maybe you were in a Christian rock band.
Yeah,
maybe you
true.
kept it in your pants, right?
We did. We were, accountable to each other and stuff. But, then there's times after that. No, I'm kidding. I don't know if I need to drive to Colorado to check one of these out. Can't we just see if they build one close around here or in the LA, California area that we could go see?
I think it's fun to go.
No, you want to get in an RV, mainly because she goes to the bathroom like every 40 minutes. So better to have a bathroom with you than
toilet
to try
on wheels.
Find a bathroom.
Yeah, of course. Most women like toilets on wheels. Oh, and men, when they get older and they're dealing with their prostate, they like those toilets on wheels too.
But it's also their castle. I don't know if you've seen these things. There's a great show, the RV Channel show, whatever that is. These suckers are like, mansions on wheels.
Well, you sell your home and you buy an RV.
You do.
There you go.
And that's your life or whatever. That's your mortgage you're putting gas.
And better yet, you can go places and play pickleball. I mean, for me, that's like a dream come true. Oh, and we can take our show on the road
because you're a pickaholic. I'll take the show on the road. Well, that'd be fun. I would think that would be kind of interesting.
I mean, we might have to get 2 separate RVs, but
Right. Well, because I would get a Winnebanger.
And I would go for those. I like the Mercedes ones, those cute compact ones. They're tall.
Right. Those are good little girly ones. I could drive that
myself.
Those are good girly ones. I like those.
Yeah. Oh, glamping. There's that too.
Yeah.
Well, that's a whole nother show.
That is 2 other shows. All right. We're going to take one more short break, come back, hit the terms. There's a theme to the terms this time, but maybe, I think you'll understand. We'll be right back. Hey, we're back with Dr. Don and getting down with the pickleball with a little ditty from Tony. So, getting to my little fun favorite part of the show. This one has a little theme, as they all do. Are you ready, Miss and Dawn? Sometimes she looks like a man, ladies and gentlemen. And
right. Just because you messed that one.
Well, so here we go with our little pickleball terms. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
Batter up.
First one is flapjack.
Oh, flapjack. Is that a...
No, flab, as in if you were fat.
No.
Flapjack.
What?
Exactly.
Who the hell came up with that? And why would they use
But it has a theme to it. Flapjack. Yeah, no one's going to ever know that one.
No clue, and
Nope.
nor am I ever going to use that term on the pickleball court.
Right, you might. But the definition of flapjack is a midair pickleball shot that must bounce once before it can be hit during one of the first two shots of any point. After the third shot, no bounce is necessary and can volley. What they're saying is a midair pickleball shot that must bounce once before it can be hit during one of the first two shots of any point.
Flapjack.
Yes, so sometimes, no, you said it has to bounce.
Yeah.
Before I get hit it back.
Well,
on the serve.
Yeah.
So is that what this is? A midair pickleball shot that must bounce once before it can be hit during one of the first two shots.
Yeah, one of the first two shots. Yes, that's
correct. The return of a serve.
Yes.
Or return of the serve return.
Yes, that is correct. But I didn't know it was called a flapjack.
There you go.
And in fact, I just had this conversation with someone on the pickleball court because I didn't realize, or I just forgot, that they were returning my serve to me. I didn't let it. No, I was returning the serve to them. Okay, forget it.
See,
and I didn't
ladies and gentlemen,
bounce.
this is what I'm talking about. Those Donism, she says one thing and comes out another way.
So I guess
What?
I didn't do the flapjack. Were they sitting around drinking?
Well,
when
they must be,
names?
because you'll see the correlation here shortly. But flapjacking.
Oh my God.
Jacking now. Flapjacking. Well, that sounds even worse.
That means if you've been flapjacking, that means you didn't.
Right, you didn't let it bounce.
Right. In the rules of pickleball, you must let it hit, right?
Bounce.
And also, you're allowed, because it says here on the return of that. So I serve you, it bounces,
Yeah, that's
you
where
hit
I
me
messed
back.
up. I didn't realize it had to bounce.
Yeah. And
It
then
did.
on the return. So
Yeah.
you could be flapjacking whatever.
Okay.
But as it turns out, well, usually women, more men though. And the next little term is called ground stroke.
Ground stroke. Huh, interesting.
Get that, people? You get that flapjack and the ground stroke. See? This is why I say it's a perverted game. There's something just, these
And
guys.
I'm a pickleholic and
Right.
a sex therapist, so
Then it does work for you, but for people trying to learn this game and want to know the terms and rules. But again, I don't think on the serve that you've done before, because the other day when we were playing, you did serve it to me. It was a deep serve, and I just came up and hit it. You're like, no, you got to let it bounce.
Yep.
You didn't go say, flapjack, oh, flapjack.
no.
Right. Or no one said, do you ever hear that on the court?
No.
You never hear someone yelling 3 courts away, flapjack, yo! No, none of that happens, right? So these terms are, even though they're in the book, in the pickleball, manual, no one's using these things. Okay, ground stroke. Here's the definition for it. Hitting the ball after one bounce compared to a volley, which is hit in midair. They really have a term for hitting the ball after one bounce.
I guess they have to come up with terms for everything.
Why? Who cares about a ground stroke?
I guess they were ground stroking it, and they came up with it.
That's what I'm saying. They were stroking. And that could be bounced out, bounced off, bounced in. But somewhere, we're going to call it a ground stroke. No, I'll tell you what. You're saying that's after one bounce. What about when there's no bounce? We call it flapjack.
Oh,
No.
yeah, but that's
how about,
illegal. You don't get a point for that one.
No, but coming up with the name is all I'm thinking about. They're just lit. They're high.
But
They're
why
probably
would you
naked in
say
a sauna going, dude, when I hit it on the ball, it's a ground stroke. Really? Because when I get home, it's a flapjack. I know you're in the sex therapy world and that these terms, ladies and gentlemen, for real, for true, you can look these up. There's something in the perverse sexual connotations. No one comes up with these things like that. I mean, they have grip for your ground stroke while you're flapjacking.
Well,
There's...
Again, the sport is called pickleball.
Well, yeah, I get
Okay,
it.
yeah.
These people are nasty. All right, anyway. This is why these things are...
Just funny.
Yeah, you can't, once again, nonfiction. You can't...
Can't make this up.
All right. Well, that's all the time we do have for this episode of Getting Down with the Pickleball with Dr. Don Michael. Again, I'm Tony, trying to keep you guys abreast and throw a little fun into it while, getting your pickleholic on or your flapjacking or ground stroke or whatever else you want to come up with, or your back swingers and your
bangers and spinners.
Just to keep
And we
going.
haven't even gotten a quarter way through.
No.
Okay.
That was
more fun to come.
I think so. Anyway, thanks for hanging with us. We'll catch you next time. Hope you have a lot of fun on the pickleball court. Stay pickaholic with Miss Pickler, and we'll catch you later.